Greetings to the world. Greetings to the world. Thank you for tuning in. This is the Real Resilience Talk, episode 6-4. Like Nintendo 64, like a 6-4 Impala. Okay, 64. Here we are, man. This was all just a thought. What did Biggie say? It was all a dream. Yeah, here we are on this episode right here. And as I always say, these are the sounds of Monchichi Rex. Look up his music, man. Pelo Chino got new albums dropping. My son's even on the track with him, right? So check him out. Thank you, brother, for this song. This is the Real Resilience Talk podcast. So guess what? You might hear some language. You may hear a bad word or two, but I hope you hear a good word 3 or 4. How about that? But I'm gonna try to keep it limited. And I want you to understand this whole show is, as I've said before, inspired by the First Amendment, our ability to express ourselves, but understand that anyone expressing themselves on here, it is a direct reflection of them and what they want to share in expressing their rights to express themselves. This has no official endorsement from or of any official organization or anything of that nature. So what am I saying there? Don't try to get me canceled. If y'all can do TikTok dances on duty with weapons armed, then I could do a podcast about wellness and making sure that we can prevent bad things from happening. Talking about resilience, we got to be real, we got to be raw, we got to be candid. And I have an amazing warrior on the show with us today, a true servant and protector of the Constitution, our way of life, and just a person, a force multiplier, trying to make people better every single day. On the show with us today, I have the amazing Miss Rozy. Give it up for Miss Rozy, everybody. Yeah. Hi, Miss Rozy. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
Thank you for joining us and thank you for being here. We're going to get into a lot of stuff today, folks. Please tune in. Please listen. And I just hope that you take away something tangible that you can apply in your circle. And remember, like I always say, maybe something we say on here isn't for you, but if you listen to it, you write it down, you think about it, maybe you could use it to help somebody else. Because it's not just all about you, ladies and gentlemen. Not just all about you. So, Ms. Rozy, with that said, I'm going to jump out the gate. Ma'am, what is resilience to you and what is your background? And just walk us through however you want to do.
Okay. Resilience for me. Oh, wow. So it's different for every single person. For me, it's the health of me and my inner circle. It's the difference also between whether you're surviving or you're thriving in life. So whatever tools, that you may need to kind of help you through. It's so interesting because, yesterday, some of my between surviving and thriving was actually my spouse. I will tell you in the past, I was just like, oh my gosh, I dorked something up. I went to them and before they're like, oh my goodness, whatever, freaking out and everything. And we've both been going through a lot of growth, emotional, spiritual, you name it. And they reacted so differently than what they had in the past. And I will tell you, I needed that at that point. So sometimes your resiliency is being able to depend on other people in that inner circle too. And I'll tell you, that's exactly what happened yesterday. It was great though. And it made the difference between, again, surviving and thriving the situation.
That's beautiful. That's well said. I love, you're saying the inner circle, which is just so imperative. I always tell people, be careful with the F word, who you call friend, who you call family, who you bring into your inner circle. But the fact of what you said in there, you didn't say challenge, you didn't say struggle, you didn't say that. You said growth. You said growth. I think that's so beautiful to think of it in that context. It's not brainwashing ourselves. It's just perspective half the time. And I think that's a beautiful perspective to say there's growth there. So thank you for that.
So
yeah, it's good. And then surviving and thriving, like that. When you say that, when you describe that, it resonates with me. But when you say like the difference or the differentiation between surviving and thriving, what comes to mind for you?
So, I've been having a spiritual journey here past year or so. And in talking with a lot of my spiritual leaders, deacon and my priests and everything, I kind of told them like, these situations, things that I've been going through in the past year, it can be little things. It doesn't have to be like a big major, 9/11 level type of situation and stuff. He's like, you're entitled to have all these emotions in life. He goes, it's how you handle it, how you deal with it. How do you react to it? And that's where that resiliency also comes in. Again, the difference between surviving and thriving. You can make it through that situation, bumpy and everything, right? But are you really growing through that situation? It's again the difference between that surviving and thriving. So I'm I will tell you, I just absolutely love this journey. You know, when you're going through it, you know, that storm, you're like, oh my gosh. But then afterward, you're like, okay, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I did better this time
Yeah,
than a
yeah.
few years ago, or what you thought you would have through that type of situation, you know. But again, you know, I've also, as part of the journey, is making sure that the people in that inner circle are also doing well. So it just came into action yesterday, and I'm just like, that's what I'm talking about. That's what you work on,
Yes,
right? When when poop hits the fan, you're like, holy smokes, that's exactly what you were hoping for.
that's right.
You know, where you see it in action, you're like, you're ready for like that struggle, that fight or whatever. You're like, well, darn, I didn't even really need that. Like, it was so much more supportive, you know, for it.
Yeah,
So it's like, loved it. Absolutely love that.
that's
Takes some
beauty.
work and effort.
Yes, no, there's
Yeah.
beauty in the struggle. There's beauty in the process of things, and two things that came to mind from two great heroes of mine. But Epictetus, he said, "What ought one to say as each hardship comes? I was practicing for this. I was training for this." And I think it's so sound in what you said to see your progress, like not perfection. Obviously, that's a myth. I think we made up the word perfection. There's nothing perfect in this universe, in this solar system, in this Earth, but maybe somewhere else. But as far as here, it's a myth. So it's I love how you said like, yeah, maybe I handled this. I thrived through this. You go through things, you can grow through things, but also I did better than I did last time with the same thing, right? Like, and that's where the growth is, and sometimes the growth doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. I'm having to accept that the growth doesn't feel good. I heard a little excerpt of Ben Affleck the other day. He was like, when you're being resilient, it doesn't feel good, and it doesn't feel like you're being resilient, but you're applying it, right? And yeah. But the other thing, not Ben Affleck, but Dr. King, one of my heroes, he had said the ultimate measure of someone is not where they stand in moments of comfort and convenience, but where you stand at times of challenge and controversy. And I get up here on this show, everyone. I've been doing the show for over 2 years now, and I talk a lot of things, and then I have to eat my words later.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's easy to talk the talk, but to walk it, that's a whole different thing, you know.
Amen. Amen. It's easy. It's easy to talk, and then it's like, oh, Bruce Lee, knowing is not enough. We must apply. And I'm like, I be knowing a lot of stuff. I can Google a lot. I be screenshotting, but like, oh, application. That thing hurts.
Yeah. And he went through some serious struggles himself. I mean, just the journey that he had
Amen.
was just amazing. But the man was so resilient. I mean, just
So resilient.
the feats that he could accomplish physically, but it took a lot of mental
That's right.
training to
That's
get
right.
to that point. That's what people don't realize. Like, it wasn't just that muscle memory. It just,
Right.
the persistence, the resiliency. I mean, the struggles that he went through to get back into that tip top physical shape. I mean, it just exceeded just any human comprehension, first of all. But it took a lot of work for him, right? For that. And that's what people don't realize, in talking with my kiddos, they're young adults, and they think that you can just go and just run that marathon just right off the couch. Like, no, there's a lot of work that goes into that. These
Mm-mm.
athletes, they're just they're beasts in their field and what they're doing, but the amount of hours, that they put into that, that discipline that it took to get into that state, to that, level that they're in. And I think, was it a few years ago? I thought I heard it takes like 1,000 hours
Mm-hmm.
to become like an expert at something,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, it takes just some hours there. I mean, if we start clocking all that time, then you're like, okay, I feel like I'm getting better at this. But you can apply that to so many things, not just athleticism. You know, how much are you investing in yourself, your resiliency, the health of the people in your inner circle to be able to survive these situations, these transitions that you're going to be going through in life? As veterans, we think that the only transition in life is the one out of the military. And that's just the first big one. You know, there's the transition into the military,
Yes.
and kind of looking back, most of us were 18, 19 or whatever, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, you just is like, I don't know what's going on. You're not getting much sleep. You're getting yelled at. And you're like, okay, go over here, put on your clothes, take a shower, do this, do
Yeah.
that. And you get so used to being told what to do. And now we get to start thinking for ourselves, and it's okay. And sometimes now you get to experience all these emotions. And Pat Tillman, that's one of the things that he said. He goes, I want to experience all those emotions in life. Even the negative ones, the
Right.
sadness, all of those. I mean, it's such an amazing thing. And it's okay if you don't understand that, but that's where you want to get, is where you're like, good, bad, ugly, it's life. And I want to experience it. I want to live, right? And sometimes there's the good and the bad that goes with that. You to live a life without suffering is just not life. It's not going to happen. you know it's just not going to happen. This world is not perfect, like you're saying. It does not exist. um, like I said, on my spiritual journey, some of the things that I've been running across have just actually have hit so much more differently recently, and I'm so grateful for that.
Yes.
Like, wow, like, you always hear that saying, stop and smell the roses. But there's going to be a point in your life, and I hope you all get to this point where you really sit and not just smell those roses, like understand like the beauty that's around you that you didn't realize was there this entire time, you know.
Oh, it's
um
beautiful. Well said. Well said on that. Like, well said. Because you got to take inventory. You got to take stock, and and gratitude. I tell everyone, is one hell of a drug.
yes, and you will be grateful for things you never thought yet you would be grateful for. But that's going to be the beauty in life, is hoping that other people get to that point where you're going to be grateful. Like, I wake up now. Before I was like, oh my gosh, like peeling myself out of bed. Now, mind you, I love my bed. Like, we put a lot of time and effort into making sure our bed is like our like our home base, so to speak. Like, okay, that was a tough day. Our
Right.
bed, it's wonderful. You know what I mean? It's a little bit too high up for me. My husband's tall, but we have like this little water cooling system. I got my ergonomic pillows. Like, it's
Yeah.
my safe haven.
Yes.
And that's the thing is, that's part of your self care.
Yeah.
And my husband's like, I was like, why are you so crazy about bed? But I'm like, that's his self care,
It is.
is that rest at night. Like, you put in whatever you can into it. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Even when you go to some hotels now, you're like, this sucks. These,
Ah.
even the pillows and stuff suck, but
Yeah.
that's great. That's what you want, right?
Yeah.
This is your safe space. Is that for him, to replenish all that energy that was spent throughout the day. So you're just peeling yourself out of bed, not because you're not grateful and stuff, but it's like, I don't want to leave that safe haven. But then you're like, okay, I use it to take my naps during the day. And I will tell you, I absolutely, that's my time. Like, I set my little timer, let me go take my nap, and I'm back and everything, you know, that's your safe haven there to go rest up. Like, hey, I work so hard. I got a nice bed to go home to. Who's that one retired rear admiral where he said, make your bed every day?
Oh, Admiral
I
Craven.
I've been,
Yep.
yes, yes. I actually heard him speak in person, and I heard him say that. I was like, you don't think it like it's too much of it, but I've been practicing that too. Since I heard him probably like 10 years ago. Just a little thing, you're like, oh, well, I made my bed today.
That's that little
You
victory.
get grateful for those small things,
Yes.
you know? And that's definitely something that you apply for. But I've been waking up now, and I'm like, before my eyes even open up, I'm like, oh, thank you for this day.
Yes.
Thank you, God, for this day. You're just so grateful because, a few years ago, I lost a friend of mine. She was a constable, and she was murdered in the line of duty
Oh my goodness.
in our age, right? And you're just like, holy smokes, like, that really can happen at any point,
That's right.
you know? It really kind of shakes you, but you're grateful for those opportunities, because that could have been you, and your life is gone. And, that's what you hear always somebody saying, like, what would you do here today? what would you think about your life if you died at this point,
Mm.
right now, at this moment? Would you be happy with how you lived and everything? And it's like, crap. My friend that passed, I will tell you, she was at that point. She was grateful for everything. Everyone she met, she's like, let me help you out. Like, she was scraping 2 pennies together to get by, and you never know it. You know, she told me this later, and you're just like so grateful. I'm like, I'm even more grateful for you to take that time and that energy that I know you needed, and you spent some of that on me. It just makes you so much more grateful, you know. And she died trying to help people. And you're just like, I'm going to carry that on for her and help as many people as I can, you know, pay it forward.
That's right.
Was her motto, you know. But she had been through, she was an army interpreter. So she'd been in combat situations quite a few times, right? And so I will tell you, just being home and being grateful to be home and make it home, you know, I just loved the way that she lived life. You know, she had her struggles and everything because of all those combat tours and stuff that she had been through. So you saw that part of it too, but you don't focus on that because that's not what you want to be remembered for. We all have those demons and stuff that we struggle with, you know, that mess with us, tempt us, and stuff like that. That's everyone.
Yeah.
You can, you know, I'm Catholic, and you can look at the most saint of our saints struggle with that.
Yes.
They had demons that were oppressing and just messing with them, even throughout their sainthood and in part of their life, you know. And Saint Gregory, I actually ran across this week, one of his quotes: "If God had not permitted suffering, man would not know their limits nor their need for God."
Mm.
And I'm like,
Mm.
you don't get that. Like, how would you know? But the same thing with your family, that inner circle too, that applies with them. If you're not suffering, you don't learn to appreciate those times. I had a good friend of mine a few weeks ago. I'm sitting there going through something, you know, in my personal life. And she speaks up and she's like, you know, her son out of nowhere, healthy 12, 13-year-old, out on the field. I can't remember if it was soccer, because in Spanish, you know, football, it could be American football or soccer.
Okay, sorry.
And so my brain can't remember which one it was because I confuse the two sometimes. I'm like, you got to tell me American football or what?
Right.
Right. And so her son suffered a heart attack on the field.
Oh my God.
Like, out of nowhere, healthy kid, you know, and they're doing CPR on him. Before she knows it, it just came in flashes. Somebody's doing CPR on my son on the field, and it's happening so quickly. She's not really processing this, right? But I will tell you, a week later, he's up and playing like nothing ever happened. But her brain was still like, hold on, like, I got to process this. Like, what just happened?
Yeah.
Like, he's all happy go lucky. Like, he is just so grateful. And sometimes we need to take that example of how grateful we should be. Don't sit there and dwell on things, but it's okay too.
That's right.
If you need to sit and process that. But you could tell she was like, I haven't processed it yet. She's like, I'm grateful. But going through that, she goes, it just made her appreciate her family more. She thought she appreciated and she loved her kids and everything and her family so much. But you just hug them a little bit tired of going through those things.
Yeah.
You know, so there's still good that comes out of that suffering, you know, that we may go through in life, you know. And it's, again, just being to appreciate, process those feelings, those emotions that your body wants to go through. You know, I went through something recently, you know, laid off from work. I knew it was coming. You know, there's people that have been laid off and it was the day of, hey, today's your last day.
Right.
They start losing computer access, phone shut off,
what's
all
going
these
on
different
here?
things.
Hey.
Right? Like, wait, they're not processing it. I had about a month's notice for my situation. And we work together, but there's different situations. And I'm like, I was grateful for that. And you would think having that month notice, you would prepare better for it. But at the end, when the day of that last day, that following week, I was like, wow, I knew it was coming. And I still have emotions to process. I was like, okay, don't fight it, just let it happen. And for about a week, I let myself just feel the funk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just let myself okay, I need to rest. I need to sleep. My body just wanted to sleep. I was like, all right, we'll do this here. I didn't feel stressed. I didn't feel anxious, but I just felt tired. But that was just one of the ways my body said, just, regroup,
That's right.
catch up on everything that you're going through, and I just let it happen. Sometimes, Jesus take the wheel, or, just let life go with the flow kind of thing, whatever you want to call it, right? That's just what happened, what I let happen. And I am so grateful for that, you know?
Yeah, no, I totally am. And I just want to tell you thank you for sharing and sharing such examples, tangible examples of how that we can, like you said, the mentor in the church, the deacon or the priest had said, we're entitled to have these emotions, but having the courage to embrace them, but also having that mindfulness, that awareness to go, yes, but, and it's not to compare, because compare can lead to despair, because I've said this many times, comparison is a thief of joy. It's also the thief of healing, everyone. So you're entitled to have those emotions. Of course, that's what Rosie's saying, but also look at that gratitude. Look at that way that her friend lives for others and paid it forward. And even in the midst of going through those storms of rubbing two pennies together to survive, she still learned, she was still thriving and serving others. So I just think that's so beautiful. And I agree with you. I so agree with you, what you quoted from St. Gregory, that, without struggle, we won't even know there's a need for higher or a need for others, because we'll just be going through. And honestly, let's be real, that like life will be boring. We don't want tragedy. We don't want trials. We don't want pain. We don't want, obviously, any kind of tragedies that happen to others or anything like that. But we need those struggles, and it makes us stronger. It's just like, exercise. I know everybody can understand that analogy, that if you're literally, I think I heard Will Smith say this, you're pushing your muscles to the point of failure. That's the way they grow. If you don't make them fail, if they don't tear down, they don't grow. And it's the same for us, I feel like, as humans. Once we stop growing, there's an author named Jason Vale. I love him so much. He helped me with my drinking journey, and book called Kick the Drink Easily. But he says in there, we're like plants, and once we stop growing, we start dying. So it's a never ending process. And I want to say thank you for sharing that, but I also want to thank you for, look, audience, Miss Rozy didn't know me from Adam, from anyone in the world, and a mutual contact put us in touch, and she sat with me on a work day and took an hour or more of her time to mentor me as I'm going through something and transitioning from something, but just didn't know me from anything. Set up a time, got on the call, we're in different time zones, and just helped me. So I just want to tell you, thank you for being that example, and thank you for being willing, because there was no stock in it. There was no ROI. There was no, I'm going to get this percentage of interest rate. No, she just was like, time. And time is valuable, everyone that's out there listening right now, because it's the one thing we spend every day that we don't know how much we have on a remaining balance. So it's that currency that we spend every day. So I just want to say thank you for that. And you shared so much with me on your background, and you hinted towards the veteran thing, and you hinted towards some other things, but in your journey and where you're at now, what's your background, and how resilience has played into that? And I don't want to give away everything, but I know that you are a protector and defender of that Constitution, and thank you for that. But background for Miss Rozy, so everybody's like, oh, this is great, she has all this stuff now, but it's not all roses and peaches, pun intended. So there it is. The orange shirt, I had to say it.
I like peaches too, by the way. I prefer peach cobbler over apple cobbler.
There it
I'll
is.
just let
See,
people
roses
know.
and peaches, there it is. So we got Miss Rozy, and we talking about
Right.
peaches. What's up, y'all?
So I'm a born and raised Texan. So that alone, we tend to be fighters, but we're also, Bible beating, God fearing people, but we're also good, whether we agree with you or not, we're going to step in to help you. That's just how I was raised. That was just how I was raised. So my father was Army, but that was before he even met my mother. My father was actually in the Mexican Army.
Wow, for real?
Yeah. And his father was in the Mexican armies. And my mother's father was in the Mexican Army. So I grew up military,
Right.
whether it be, in the U.S. or not. And then I had some uncles, and now I have cousins that have, it's nieces and nephews that are joining and stuff, right? But I grew up in some way, shape, or form having like a military discipline. Okay. Other branches, they're just as disciplined, whether they're, neutral or not. There's still that discipline that's there. So I had a very strong work ethic, always instilled with me. You know, my mother had it because her father, my father. I remember my dad still doing push-ups. I would wake up early to go watch cartoons, and my dad's doing push-ups,
Wow. I need to
in
be
the
more like
living
your
room.
dad.
And I was like, okay. My mother too, though. I mean, she was, the whole Jane Fonda era and stuff. I would get up and she's doing her little workout over there, her little mom workout, and everything. So that was something that I've always, that self-care.
Yes.
You don't realize that's what you're teaching your kids. They see that.
Yes.
They see that. And they're in pretty dang good shape. They're both in their early 70s and they're really good, physical shape and everything. But I grew up with all brothers, like even my half brothers or brothers. I'm the only girl. I was daddy's
Oh,
girl,
snap.
spoiled rotten. I took advantage. I was I was such a naughty kid. My poor mother, bless her soul, like Mother's Day, her birthday, like we spoil her rotten, and she is deserving of that and more because me and my brothers, we weren't like really, really bad, but we were bad. Stuff you wouldn't think about. My younger brother, I won't put his name out there. He actually joined the Marines. I'll just put that out there.
Simple Fidelis.
Oh my gosh, don't get me started. He would put on he had Superman. He loves Superman. Still loves Superman.
What? I gotta meet this guy.
He would be in his Superman jammies with the cape, and he would be trying to fly, but he would be running in the street. Thank goodness we were in a back road
Yeah.
and everything, but sometimes they would call, child services or whatever on us. He's out in the street trying to fly again.
There's a kid out there
There
thinking he's
wasn't much
superhero,
traffic. Exactly. Yep. He's the one that went into the Marines. I'll just put that out there.
Talk about.
Right. Absolutely. He was a good kid, but he just wanted to try and fly, and he had more space, runway on that road than in our yard. But, I mean, I remember growing up in Texas, we would take, and this was so bad, we would take pillowcases off our pillows on the beds, and we'd go out there and we would pick pecans right off, the ground and everything, because there's pecan trees everywhere. That's what we do. I mean, I'm not going to say we were poor, but we lived modestly. And that's what we do. Hey, it's Texas. Hey, let's go eat some pecans. There's honeysuckle. We would eat honeysuckle right off the vine out there in the wild, in our backyards and stuff. There were so many snacks and stuff. We're like, Mom's like, come eat. I was like, oh, well,
We
we're
good,
really
actually.
hungry because we just ate a whole pillowcase full of pecans. And she's like, is that the pillowcases off your pillows? My poor mother. Just some of the stuff we would get into.
That's funny.
I was a rough and tough tomboy. My brothers, we'd fist fight, and they didn't care that I was a girl, so scrappy, I will tell you. Yeah, my dad, he didn't really know how to handle a girl.
Mm-hmm.
That was his way, was like wrestling and stuff like that. Like not rough housing with me as much as he did with my brothers.
Right.
But, he made me feel part of the team. So I grew up very tomboyish. Because of that. And I really thank my father for that too. Because I will tell you, I did not feel as pretty as my mom. And that was a compliment. Nothing that my mom did to make me talk me down or anything like that. She just walked on water for me.
Yeah.
Right? Beautiful, ultra girly girl would do her hair. I mean, the Farrah Fawcett hair in the late 70s, beautiful. She took the time. She didn't wear a lot of makeup. She was just a natural beauty. But when she'd girl up, she just looked like one of those movie stars to me. She was beautiful. My mom still is beautiful. Stunning. I don't think, how we go through like our teenage years and you kind of get hit with that weird ugly stick, right? And you're like, oh man, that's a picture I don't want to show my kids, where you're scrawny.
Proportioned.
Yeah. My mom didn't go through that. I'm looking through pictures. I'm like, where the heck is that space for my mom? Like, she never went through that. She was always girly girl and polished, hair done, little bit of it. And even when she went through like a grunge phase, because I saw a picture, I was like, oh, she's even pretty in the grunge phase. Like, no way. No way. So, because of that, I didn't feel comfortable as a girl because I didn't feel like I could be as girly girl or as pretty as her. So I was more tomboyish.
Yeah.
I felt more comfortable. I was like, okay, I can be that.
Yeah.
I'll be a pretty tom girl than like an ugly pretty girl. That was just what I kind of felt,
Yeah.
and I sit and reflect on that. I actually didn't become more comfortable with being feminine until I had my daughter.
Wow.
And not just that she was my first, but she was a girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my daughter, I don't care what anybody says, it is so genetic to love certain things like naturally.
Yeah.
My mom loves pink. So does my daughter.
Look at that.
Like it was just, and I mean, she was like a month or two old and we're at the store and she's with her little chubby little hand, right? Trying to grab the pink stuff, not the purple stuff, not the yellow stuff, not the other colors. It was always pink. And I'm like, that is fascinating.
Yes. Yeah. That's funny.
That is
Grandma
absolutely
coming out of her right there. Even with a little chubby hand, the little hand that has the dimples when they got the little chubby hand.
I know. So this was the thing, the struggle that I kind of went through. Growing up, I didn't even like pink. I did, but I didn't because, it's just too girly,
Right.
whatever. So when my daughter was born, I did not want people to buy her pink. I was like, no, that is too girly. My daughter's not going to be all girly and whatever. And so we were at the store. My mom was in town. She was helping me the first month with my daughter. And oh my gosh, I am so grateful for that. We were at the store and she comes up with these little pink shoes. My daughter's like barely holding them, but my mom's helping her hold these little pink shoes and she's got like the death grip on them, my daughter. And I was like, oh, Mom, why are you getting her pink shoes? No, not pink. And she goes, she picked them.
Ooh.
And I'm like, no, she didn't. She's like barely a month old. It was like towards the end, when she was about to leave. And she goes, come here. She put him back on the shelf. And she has my daughter there. She can barely stand up. She's barely a month old. And I joke you not, she put her little hand out. Doesn't reach for the white or the yellow or purple shoes all around. Right for the pink ones. That. And I was like, well, dang, I just had to eat crow right there.
There it is. Yeah, sometimes it's like that. Like life will humble you.
But it does. But I will tell you, because of my mom and daughter, they helped me become more comfortable and being feminine.
Yeah.
Like I had to for my daughter. She was like, I'm a girl. Mm-hmm. And I like pink. I'll rock around, Mom. I'll be all punky. But I love my pink. It's going to be pink, But that's kind of how I was raised. Even when I joined the military, I'd be kind of girly-ish, but I felt more comfortable being tomboyish. I wasn't one of the girls that was sitting there doing her hair like, oh my gosh, I look at my military picture and I'm like, I should have put a little bit more effort. I look so tired, in my blues because I was Air Force. And I just look back at like the World War II vets, even the Vietnam vets. They took the time to do their hair and some makeup, even if it was just a little bit, for their pictures. And I'm like, I look all tired and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, never show this to anyone. But so I was a medic for 6 years.
Thank you for your service. Thank you. A medic.
Well, 6 in the Guard. Wow. And then 4 active duty.
Wow.
But I loved that time. I loved helping others. That's one thing I got from my mother. We didn't go out and we had a ton of cousins and everything. That's who we played with. We didn't go over to friends' houses, and I don't blame my parents. There was a lot of, as a parent, you're like, oh my gosh, who's this person?
Right.
Who's going to be there? Now you totally understand why, right? My parents are very protective, and I'm wasn't at the time, but I am very grateful for that too. I could only spend the night at my grandparents'. I couldn't even spend the night at my cousin's house. I spent the night once, and my dad was like, I remember him talking to my mom. He goes, that's not happening again. Everything was fine and everything, but he's like, no. Yeah. Right? That was his rules because he was, at the time, he was an offshore oil rig welder So he would go away for weeks at a time, and then we'd be back a week, and maybe away for like 3 weeks or whatever, and back for a week. So when he was home, he'd come back and be like, he was an awesome hands-on dad. I mean, we would go out and play tennis. We all had bicycles. He bought us all bicycles. We would go out on our bicycles. When we were little, we had those little, what do you call those things? Those little chargeable little bicycles, but we had little ATVs, me and my brother. And my older brother, he's actually special needs. He would take off and just go. And my dad would have to go in his pickup truck and go pick him up with his little, like, Power Wheels.
Yeah.
It was like a Power Wheel. I actually have a picture of it. Oh my gosh. Those are some times I remember. It was fun times. We'd going down the road like, yay, we're free, going down that road and stuff,
You
right?
need that, though.
Thank goodness it was a back road.
Yeah, it was a back road, but y'all felt like y'all were on the 5 or 95 or something.
Oh my gosh. And my dad would just go out on his bicycle and like follow us and stuff. But he was so hands-on. He'd take us to the park. He was very athletic, like I said, right? And I'm just like, wow, I don't remember doing that with our kids, and we should have done that more. You don't realize how much that really helps, just getting all those wiggles out, right?
That's a good way of putting it.
Very,
wiggles.
very much needed.
We all got them. You got to get them out, or it's going to go somewhere, right? So it's good to put it into something healthy. That's really cool to have that type of example. Like, and if for anyone listening out there, if we haven't been doing it yet, let's start doing it now. But to exemplify, that physical outlet is important for our kids to see, and then to see like roughhousing's okay. Like, it's okay to skin your knee. It's okay to get physical. Like, we need it, because that way we're prepared for later on when things hit us, whether it be physically or metaphorically hits us. We're prepared for it. Like, okay, and you just keep growing through it and getting up. That's so cool that y'all had that, and I so agree with your parents. I am very protective as well. Like, you want to keep them, you want to expose them so they can grow and experience the world. But like, it takes so little time to steal and hurt someone permanently. And I just got to say thank you. I don't know if you'll ever hear this, but my mother, we lived in this trailer park at one time. We moved around a whole lot growing up, but we lived in this trailer park one time, and there was this dude who used to hustle cable. He like worked for the cable company, and he would hook everybody's cable up. And everybody's like, this dude's so cool. And he would take all the kids out, all the boys, and he'd take them to the arcade. He'd take them to all this stuff, and he would stay at his house. And I was like, let me go. I forgot the dude's name, so it's probably good I'm not naming him or can't remember. But I felt so left out. Like, all these other trailer park kids are going to chill with fill in the blank, whatever his name was. And he was cool, and he let them listen to music and, all this kind of stuff, and take them to arcades. Yo, this dude was straight up a pedophile, taking advantage of all these young boys for years. And it finally hit like the local news. And I was just so grateful because I didn't get hurt in that way. And there's no diss to any of the other parents, but my mother was like, nah, you ain't going with him. But we did get free cable from him. So, all right, but it's good to be protective a little bit. We did get that free cable.
Yes. And that's the thing is, at the time you're like, oh man, I'm the outsider, I'm the outcast, I want to go have fun. And then you're like, well, thank you, Mom.
Thank you, Mom. Yeah.
Thank you, Mom.
I love you. Thank you. Yeah, for real. For real. Because, you're protecting you. Sometimes we got to protect ourselves from ourselves, but the world. The world is I've tried to remember this in raising my kids, that, my little girl, it's funny you said pink too, because I remember my oldest daughter was born when I was in Iraq, and the biggest thing I wanted to send her was pink Chuck Taylors, and she still has them, and I used to put them in my hanger from my mirror. And now she's a grown woman. She's a United States Marine. They're all faded, but it's funny, so the pink shoes. But I always try to remember with her and my oldest son that, the rest of the world, that's my little princess, that's my little whatever, but to the rest of the world, she's just another fill in the blank expletive, and my son is just another. And I want them to understand, which contrast makes you appreciate those who value you, your inner circle, but also to never have that like arrogance that like you're special. Like, everyone's important, but nobody's special. But I always want them to be aware and be alert, not paranoid like me, a little bit too much, but it's situational awareness, everybody. I'm not crazy, I think. Anyway, I'll sit in the corner of a store. It's cool. But long story short, to have them have that mindset to experience it, but to put the bumpers on and not shelter at the same time, or not the helicopter. It's this weird balance that I don't think our ancestors dealt with too often, that where we're living now with the way it is.
Yeah, the threat landscape is going to change,
Yes.
back in the day, you know, in caveman era or whatever, we had to worry about saber tooth
Yeah,
or whatever, right? Now it's just a different, I mean, there's still going to be threats out
that's
there.
right.
It's going to change. I remember one morning, my dad was like, I'm walking you to school. I was like, oh, wow, this is a treat.
Yeah.
My dad would usually drive us and stuff. Little did I know, and I remember bits and pieces of it. There was a hostage situation. So there was like a little motel right in front of us. We lived right behind it across the street. And there was a hostage situation going on at that motel. And I went and looked it up and I'm like, yeah, I do remember that correctly. But my dad, he was like, don't focus on the, hey, how's it going? How was school?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
you be good, you do your work. But he was walking us, keeping us, you know, still getting us to school. And my mom's at home, you know, watching the baby because I had one or two baby brothers that still weren't in school yet. And my dad's walking us, you know, but he's like trying to distract us from that. Yeah, Dad, is that police officer? Yes, that's a
Yep.
police officer.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry about that. We're safe. You know what
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean? So,
Daddy's with you.
um, you gotta safeguard them as much as they can, their youth, their innocence,
Yes.
as much as you can, right? So again, grateful for that. I've had so many friends just growing up that got pregnant in high school. I will tell you, I joke you not, I had a friend in 5th grade get pregnant.
Wow. That's so
We
hard.
lived in the poor side of town. I wouldn't say it was the ghetto, but it was the poor side of town. And I remember even at that age, like, how do you do that? How do you get, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you heard, you know, the vulgarities, you know, that were said on the school playground, but you didn't really know how it happened,
Yeah.
which is good. But she knew exactly how that happened at that point, and that was very scary. I'm like, wow, I still remember that girl, like, being pregnant at that age. That's not consent. I'm sorry, you can't consent at that age. I don't care.
Yeah. No, I don't think so either.
No.
That's unfortunate, and I would hope that she was able to lead a, successful life. But it's so hard when you have children young. It's not impossible to have a good life and stuff, and it teaches a lot of grit and
Right?
resilience. Like whenever we have children, it's not about you anymore. It's about them. Like everything is about them. You still have to live your own life for sure, and you still have to have your own ambitions and aspirations, and not helicopter parent and invest everything on your kids. It's really not about just you anymore. It's about them. And to have that responsibility, that obligation, that whatever you want to describe it as at such a young age, that, I mean, I can't imagine. Really. That's
Yeah.
hard.
So I met my spouse in the military. We were both medics. He was at the time, our career fields were separated. So there was a lot of animosity between the two career
Oh, like a little
fields
civil war,
because
like some
we
Pepsi
were,
Coke.
oh gosh, yes. So he was a 4F and I was a 4N. He called us 4 Nancys.
What their F stood
The
for, so.
right? So the 4 N's, we were nursing services. We were more attached to the hospital. Sometimes if we were lucky, we'd do the emergency room, but ICU. They pretty much called us bedpan commandos.
Headbang.
And yes. And he was the 4F. He was the one that would go out with the flight surgeons. So they were doctors and they were pilots. So the cool kids club, they got to wear flight suits and aero medevac and stuff like that. And my career field and his career field did not like each other. And then they ended up merging, and I think they separated again. But whatever, I digress. And there was like, I didn't care. I didn't notice it. But there were some people that really did take personal. I was like, dang. I was like, we're both different races. I thought that would be the issue for you
Yeah,
guys. But
nah,
it was
this
more
4F, dog, 4N. What's up?
Absolutely. Absolutely. He was still in when they merged the career fields, and he went another career field. He goes, "Oh heck no, I'm
I
never going
can't
to
be
be a
with
poor
them. No.
Nancy."
Poor Nancy.
Right? But they were really. He was always okay with it and stuff. But my career field, I remember some of my colleagues were actually kind of like, we would talk crap. They wouldn't talk crap to my husband. He's a big guy, but they would kind of talk a little smack to me. I'm like, okay, whatever. I just rolled off my bag like, I don't see the issue
Yeah.
of it. Um, like I said, we weren't poor, but we grew up modest.
Yeah.
You would think we thought we were poor, but my dad was just modest and very thrifty. with how he spent money. I mean, he would spend money on some things, but we didn't see that like, hey, I bought him a car. He could buy a car in cash, but he worked his butt off for it. He saved up
That's
for
right.
it. And if he didn't have the cash for it, he wasn't going to buy it. But offshore oil rig welding, I mean, he was making money. We didn't know. We could have lived a little more lavishly, but we didn't have like name brand shoes. I remember in middle school, Keds were like the big thing. Keds, Z Cavaricis and stuff. I had, and I joke you not, from Family Dollar, I had PepsiCo shoes. They looked kind of like Keds, but they had Pepsi on them, PepsiCo on them, Pepsi. Yeah, all on them. And I remember at that Family Dollar, this is if you know country music or anything, the manager there, she was the mother of Mark Chestnut, country singer.
At the Family Dollar, the mom. Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
I remember being there with my mom. We love Family Dollar, the thrift stores. I didn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every once in a while, it was a treat to go to the mall, and it was the old school Montgomery Ward or maybe J.C.
Montgomery
Penney.
Ward, yeah. There's probably Woolworths in there
Yes.
too.
Yep. Kmart sometimes too, right? Was where we go and do some school shopping, but mainly every, little treats here and there. A little bit more often was the thrift stores and the Family Dollar. But I remember being there with my mom shopping, and a song came on, over the radio and stuff. And the manager there, blonde, I think curly-ish hair, was talking about, that's my son's song. And it was Mark Chestnut's mom saying that. And I was like, oh, I was like, oh, that's a nice song. I was like, oh, good for her.
Good for her.
I was like, I think I was like elementary school, but yeah, it was just so sweet to hear her going throughout, and all the ladies that worked there, like, oh my gosh, I love this song, that's so good for you. They were just so excited for her. Even my mom, like, oh, no way, yeah, no, that's good for you.
That's so cool.
No, but after 10 years, 4 active, 6 in the guard as medical, I was tired of the germs. I had 2 little kids by then. And I was tired of germs. My husband was also public health at the time. Like I said, he didn't want to merge, so he went public health. And knowing about all these germs, he'd come back and talk about the Black Plague and all these other diseases. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't want to be in the medical field anymore. Yeah. But I was kind of tired and burnt out too myself. And so I went into the criminal justice field. It was around 2001, so 9/11 and everything. I was like, CSIs, NCIS, all those shows were starting to pick up and everything. So that's the route that I decided to go. And I took an undergraduate class in terrorism and in forensic psychology, and I just loved both. So I applied for grad school, a master's program in forensic psychology. And while I was there, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I just loved the class. And it was something I was motivated for. Let me go for it. Well, in class, there were a few FBI polygraph examiners. And so, we were on a lunch break, during class. And I'm sitting there, and I was like, asking them questions. So I was like, you can do that with this degree? And they're like, oh, yeah. I was like, So I went and applied, and one of the 3-letter agencies sent me an email. I applied to several of those 3-letter agencies, and only one called me back or emailed me. And my husband's checking email, and we shared email, I guess, at the time, where it was all on one computer. And he goes, hey, you got an email from this agency. I was like, it's probably fake. He goes, yeah, it kind of looks like scam. He goes, but I already replied that you're going to go interview. I was like, what the heck? I was like, okay, I guess so. I thought it was a scam, but I'm glad he did, because otherwise I would have thought it was just, garbage and stuff. And so I went and interviewed, and I kicked butt, negotiated really well and everything. And before I knew it, I was doing, I was going into polygraph exams for, one of those 3-letter agencies, and did that for a while. Did some other stints throughout security and personnel. I ended up in cybersecurity, which I loved. Huge, sharp learning curve, but I absolutely loved it. And, my husband, ended up getting out of the military and got into the feds and stuff too. And we were in the DC area, which a lot of the federal agencies are. And he moved us out to Arizona. and I didn't know anybody out here.
Mhm.
So trying to find work, because I'm sorry, you can apply and everything, but it's also network too. And I did not really have, I had a network, but in like the nonprofit side, I was helping with a lot of the nonprofit, the vet work and stuff there too, where I met my friend that was murdered and stuff in the line of duty. She was actually the first vet that I bumped into in this state. And she was ready to help me. She goes, "Oh yeah, have you put in your claim? Have you done this? Have you done that?" I'm
Wow.
like, "What are you talking about?" You know,
Always helping
and
people.
she helped me work through that stigma of applying, getting my disability and stuff. But, you know, I ended up, getting work with a defense contractor, helping veterans transitioning out, getting internships, finding work. Absolutely loved it. But I'll tell you, I always wondered for years, why am I going through the struggle, finding work and everything? But I realized quickly once I got that job, I was like, oh, that's why I went through that struggle, because now I know what it's like
Yeah.
to struggle to find work. I never really had that before, but I had to struggle real hard. A lot of it, I was just being a knucklehead, not listening to people with advice. And again, I was like, why was I stupid? I should have known better in this and that. And you beat yourself up for it. But now, when I run across those people, I can sit down and say, hold on, I totally get you. And let me explain to you why I understand you. And at the end, they're going to make their
That's
decision.
right.
They got to follow their own learning journey, right? Their own growth journey and stuff there. Um, but I did along the way run into a good friend, a good colleague, and she's like, "What are you doing for you?" So I went back to school, because there was always one thing on my dream board. When my husband and I first got married, he was very big on dreams. Have to have a dream board. He was into the Ramsey, videos and self
Yeah,
help
yeah.
type stuff, and The Secret and all this other stuff. And I'm so grateful for that, because he had a whole bigger spiritual viewpoint that I was kind of missing a little bit in life, that he brought back into focus. And that was one thing off of my dream board that I hadn't done, was getting that PhD behind my name. So that's what I'm doing now, you know, and having some extra time in my hands. I had asked for an overload in classes. So that started last week. So I've been getting a handle on all of that, and letting myself process not having a job, which is what I had hoped for too. But then you're like, you get what you want. You're like, do I really want this? Like, this is scary.
Yes.
But that's your growth
That's
journey,
the
right?
growth.
Like, okay, exactly, right. I got to put, all this advice and stuff that I've also been giving all these other people. I'm like, I got to remember how to do this myself. I actually saw somebody on LinkedIn say, I hope all of you that are out there giving advice to people, if you haven't looked for work in the past 6 months or year, or whatever time frame they put, it was pretty short, like 6 months or 1 year. If you haven't been interviewing and applied for jobs in the past 6 months or a year, they're like, just don't give advice, because you don't know. And I was like, that's an interesting point. And I'm not going to shame them or whatever, agree or disagree or whatever. I was like, I understand where they're coming from. You got to have a fresh perspective. When I was helping a lot of these veterans transition, recently through Skill Bridge and finding employment and everything, I never went through Skill Bridge myself. That's a whole different new thing that's been going on, the past few years and stuff, probably 5 years or so, I think, maybe even 10, a few little places here and there. It wasn't that common. Nobody knew what it was, even in the past few years. I'd been doing it for the past 3 years. People didn't know what that word was. So having to explain that, I mean, now it's more common. Everybody kind of knows about it and stuff. Dang, I just lost my train of thought. That's the DD 214 moment I tell people on that there. I'm like, oh, had a little DD 214. Not a senior moment. It's my DD
Yeah, we
214
keep it
moments.
real around
That's
here.
coming
It's real.
later too,
Yeah.
right? It is real. But yeah, just helping those vets and understanding that, being unemployed and stuff too. I'm like, I know that struggle. Like, and I know from that struggle, even when you do reach out for help, you're not given the whole picture.
Mm.
There's a lot more going on there. You're only going to put out what you're comfortable with, just a few little things. So that's why when I would help my transitioning service members, hey, we're going to talk about resiliency. Hey, I'm going to set you up with this case manager that helps with all these other things that are going to help not just you, but your entire family,
Yes.
that support system, that inner circle, right? Because they're also transitioning too.
Thank you for that.
No, I don't think.
Ooh, man, when you said that to me, when you mentored me,
Put it out there.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just want to tell you thank you for that
No,
importance, because since we've talked, I've really tried to take that into just apply it, because you're right. It's not just us transitioning, it's our families too. So just want to say thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So when you give out resources, give a little extra. Hey, here's a number 2 if you need them.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you do. They won't tell me squat. If you reach out, they're not going to go and tell me, oh, so-and-so called me. Just say, hey, great, thanks. I do get, and this happened to me recently with a military spouse, poor girl struggling. She's got some stress on her like nothing. I mean, you could see it visibly on her even, and you sit there and you just let them vent. And you're just like, whew, that's a tough one right there.
There's that little baby. I heard that little baby in the back. I heard that little baby. I heard that little child.
Oh,
I heard that little
yeah,
baby.
you heard her, right?
That's that baby.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of healthy
her brothers
outlets,
are coming
pets,
nearby.
y'all. Pets are medicine. I'm telling you right
Yep.
now. They're medicine for the soul.
They are.
They really are.
They absolutely are. But this little one is mad. Her brothers are coming nearby, and she's like the queen of this area.
Y'all.
Wherever she's at, like 10 feet mofro is pretty much what she's telling them.
Did somebody give you clearance to be in my presence?
Right? She is vicious. Little thing, but it's like, I remember my dad used to call me a fighting chihuahua. And then we have a little chihuahua now because I was feisty. But, that's what he wanted. He knew what life would be like for women.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why he always was fine with me being a little bit. And I could tell sometimes my mom was like, please let her be a girl. But he's like, yes, but I need her to be a little scrappy for my safety, my sanity, right?
You need it.
And it's interesting because my spouse was the same way too. He goes, you're too sweet, you're too kind. He goes, we got to fix some of that.
It's real.
You're too shy.
Yeah, it's real. Assertiveness and like having that, what am I doing for me, that the friend told you to be able to, not obviously not selfish, right? But looking out for yourself. Sometimes I think people who will be too kind, and people take advantage of us, and you never want to see that. And people are already aiming for certain targets, so we do have to teach our kids and ourselves to be more assertive. And hey, what your friend told you that inspired you to follow your doctorates is, what are you doing for you? Like, you need that comes with that scrappiness. You have to, because if not, who are you to show up to everybody else? I think it's just amazing, like the stuff that you've been into and the journey you've had. But one thing that resonated with me so much was when you expressed, now when you talk to people, you can actually identify with them. They're like, oh, I went through this too. I think sometimes, and it's just my belief, I can't make sense of certain pain in life. I can't make sense of 9/11. I can't make sense of babies dying. I can't make sense of a lot of tragedies that occur. But I think if there's anything that is, I don't want to say good, but beneficial in struggles, is that one human knows that experience to share with another human. And last time I checked, humans never get anything done on our own. Like, there may be God working through us, or there may be a higher power, whatever anybody wants to call it, teach their own. But that's done through us as the vessels. So sometimes when you're going through that time, and you listening right now, maybe going through that time right now, maybe it's just preparing you so you understand the roadmap of how to lead someone else the right way, if nothing else.
No. And there's that factor that people forget, the human error. Once you input any type of human into anything, you start inserting human error.
That's for sure.
And one of the scenarios that I kind of explain to people, that especially vets, that they get, is when you go out to that shooting range, right? And I'll tell you, those poor range, safety people and, range masters or whatever, oh my gosh, they would cringe every time us medics would go there, because we don't shoot as often. We didn't have to qualify but once a year, so we didn't go out there, and you could tell, like, oh my gosh, here they come. Get everything ready to go.
Here comes those four Nancy's, the four Novembers. Here they come.
What'd you call them? The bedpan?
Exactly.
The bedpan
I know
ninjas?
we could make them cringe. I know they had that cringe going on. Oh gosh, the medics are coming today. Okay, let's prepare. On your toes, because they're going to sweep the line. They're going to do all this knucklehead stuff because they don't shoot that often, right? Because again, we didn't shoot as often. That 1,000 hours of that's going to bring, make you an expert in something. We just didn't have that unless we were doing it also on our own, right? But when you shoot, whatever it is that you're shooting, a Glock, 1911, whatever, right? That machine is made perfect. That it's crafted to be precise, to be perfect. But when you start inserting human error, that's right. Because you could put anybody behind that gun and that machine, device, whatever you want to call it, weapon, is going to be perfect. But it's who you put behind there handling it that's going to throw off whether if that shot is going to be good or not.
Yes.
But that's how life is too. You insert human error into that, the human perspective, you're inserting human error. And the more that we rely on the divine, right? And the less of us and the more of them, that's where you're going to get the better formula for that. You still have to be a part of it, right? You still got to live life. You can't just sit there in your bed and just say, oh my gosh, under the sheets and say, I'm never going to live life and just avoid it all. You got to come out, but you just know you can't do it alone. The same thing with the transition. I don't know why. I've seen this with my kids, and they're young adults, right? And they're in their early 20s. And they feel like society or something has put this into their head that they have to do everything by themselves. And that's not it. I kind of mentioned earlier, my mom came out and helped me with both my kids, but my first kiddo, she was out there for a full month, and I am eternally grateful for her to be able to come out, because you are not sleeping or whatever. And my first one, she just knew it was going to be tough, not just that it's grandma and my grandbaby, I got to spend time. She helped me clean around the house when I was just tired and not sleeping and everything. And her advice, as a mother, was so much more needed. And I will tell you, I cried when she left after that month, because I was like, how am I going to do this by myself?
Yeah, it's real.
And it does get real.
Yeah.
It got real and real quick.
That's right.
So I was so grateful for her to help me get up. She would get up in the middle of the night with me.
Wow.
Because she knew I was tired. She goes, oh, she's having trouble sleeping. I heard you up here for a while. Let me take over. If she saw me sleeping in, she was like, let me help clean. I'll do the dishes. I'll make dinner, and stuff like that. Now, mind you, my baby brother was there. My younger brother was in the Marines, and my older brother, special needs, was still there with us. So not only me, the baby, my spouse, making sure the house was cleaned, my baby brother was there, and then my older special needs kid. And I remember one evening when I had my son too, my two toddlers, and I was talking to her one evening, and I was just beat, and I was like, oh my gosh, Mom, your grandkids here, they are running me into the ground, and I'm so tired. And I took a moment and I paused, and I was like, crap, I'm talking to this woman
Dealt with those naughties
who runs circles. She goes, oh, that's nice. 2 kids?
Yeah.
2 kids.
Yeah.
She had to handle that home with all 4 of us. And sometimes, my half brother would come over and stay with us, or sometimes cousins and stuff too would spend a summer with us, or sometimes the whole school year, because that's how our family was. But while my dad was gone, remember, again, weeks, sometimes months at a time, doing offshore oil rig, and she handled it all by herself. And I remember my grandparents coming over and still coming to help her. She's like, yes, come over. And she would take us over to my grandma's house, right, a few streets down the road. And so even though she did it alone, she really wasn't. She'd have her siblings come over. My aunts from even my dad's sister would sometimes come over. She had little breaks here and there,
Yeah.
Her me time, or my older brother had doctor's appointments, and she would have to drive hour and a half to these specialists into Houston and stuff. And she would do that. And sometimes she'd have to stay overnight with them. So here comes grandma. We'd spend the night with grandma so she could go do that. And my dad's out in the Gulf of America, at the time, Gulf of Mexico, doing whatever, earning his keep. And she never complained about that. I don't remember her ever telling her, like, you're never home. Like, no, I'm grateful that he has a job, that he works, that he could provide for us. Like, food was never an issue. We were modest in things that we bought. We didn't buy name brand stuff, but we were never low on food.
Yeah. You gotta have that sustenance. Well, shout out to your beautiful mom.
Exactly.
Shout out to your beautiful mom and your awesome, beautiful dad for, being that man to provide and then her to sacrifice. But then years later, still coming back to you and being there to help. That matters so much. For all of us that are parents out there, the opportunity is going to come for us to be able to be there for our kids and help them, not raise their babies for them. That may be your circumstance. You're stuck with that, but to help them be their best selves, to get that, what you said in the beginning, that rest, something I used to look down on with being ambitious and work ethic, like naps. I used to run on 4 hours sleep and we would brag about it. Like sleep is the cousin of death, right? That's what Nas said. Grind. But you burn out. And I have been a supernova on a few different times in my life. The importance of rest, the importance of that me time, and the importance of what you just expressed right now, that it hit me real hard that we have more humans on this planet than ever before, but people are more alone than ever and feel like what you said, that your younger adult children feel like they have to do it all by themselves. That's not the case, ladies and gentlemen. There are people out there that want to help you, but closed mouths don't get fed. Closed minds don't get fed. You got to reach out and say that you actually need some help. And there, some people get too needy and some people are too dependent on others. We're not trying to say that, but to be able to say, hey, mom, hey, whomever, I need a little help right now. And hopefully you have that inner circle, as what you described in the beginning, that's strong enough that would want to be there for you and help fuel you back up, or give you that time to where you can fuel you back up, because that rest and the recovery is so important, so we can regenerate our energies to go out there and be the superheroes that, your little brother and me once think we were, because I love Superman too, and I joined the Marines. So here we are.
Yeah. Right. And of course, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the one that would join the Marines. Yeah,
the guy with the cape out there getting the police called on him.
I went there. If he hears this later, I'll be like, "There's your jam right there."
I love it.
So
you're not alone, brother. You're not alone.
Of course. Well, he picks on me because I was Air Force, he was Marines or whatever. He's like, I had to go there.
You got to do it. Yeah, I got a sister-in-law's Air Force. So we talk so much.
Most of our family was Army. I went Air Force. At the time, we only had one cousin that went Navy. We still kind of pick on him too. And he's like, I had to be different. I had to go Marines. I tried to, but then I found out they didn't have the medical field.
Yeah, we don't. No, sure don't. But thank you, Corpsman. Thank you, Doc.
No, and I was not going to go be a corpsman. I was like, and this is terrible. I saw the uniforms. I was like, nope.
Nah, we good. We good. We good. Hey, that's cool. That is what it is. It is what it is. But you know what it's all about, no matter what role on the team you play, and what I love and what I've appreciated over these 20-some years of service is that everyone is a link in the chain, and all of us together protect that beautiful flag, and we protect the thing that we're all willing to die for, that Constitution. It's still it's still an idea. It's, and obviously it's not perfect, because we talk about perfection, because if it was, we wouldn't have 27, hey, let's change some things, amendments, right? So nothing is perfect, but we're willing to die for that. And I want to just tell you, thank you for your service, for your husband's service, for your family service, and wanting to do what your friend did, God rest her soul, help people and pay it forward. You are an example of that. And I've only had a few interactions with you, but the willingness that you have to give your time and wisdom to others, I just got to tell you, thank you, Miss Rozy. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, self-care, it looks like what it looks like. If I worked my rear end off and I just want to binge watch some Netflix, okay.
That's you.
Do it.
Do you, boo-boo.
I've met people where their self-care is in the mornings as they're getting ready. They're like really doing their hair and makeup. That's fine. No judgment.
That's right.
Good. That's your time, that you spend on yourself, your investment in yourself. And there shouldn't be judgment of, it needs to look like this. I need to be working out or running 6 miles, every morning before work or whatever. Indulge yourself sometimes, right? And of course, in all things, not too far down the road where you're in excess, right?
Yeah.
Where you're doing things in excess, and then you'll burn out. But there's such things as sleep banking. If you're going to have a real tough shift next week, or a lot of overtime and stuff, you can actually rest ahead of time and prepare your body for it. And there's been a lot of research that shows that you handle it better if you start preparing your body and resting it up and everything before you head out.
That's
you
wow.
know?
That's sound right there. And teach their own. Obviously, we're
Mm-hmm.
not doctors, but she's citing something that's out there. But I've done this in practice, and it may work for you. It may not work for you. But why not try it? Because I had a week. I did a performance last week on Friday. A blessing. And I'm so thankful for the people that provided the opportunity for me. But that week was pretty hellacious, and I knew a week into it, I cleared my whole schedule, and I tried to sleep as much as I could on those nights when I could. So therefore, on those days that were leading up to it, I was more refreshed and just able. I mean, obviously the ideal thing would be, hey, perfect 6 to 8 hours, but that's not life. That's not always going to happen. So however, maybe try this, what she's saying. You said sleep banking, is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey, why not?
That's what it's called.
Why not try it? It ain't gonna make you worse. It may just make you better. It may just be a tool to put in your toolbox. Everybody wants perfection.
Yep.
This ain't 7-Eleven, y'all. It ain't gonna happen like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you could do that. And, going back right now and working on my doctorate, I was working, up until a couple weeks ago or a week ago. I was going to school. I was taking 2 classes and working full time, which was probably about a little bit more like 50 hours a week. Because I put in a little extra time. Again, I'm helping vets.
right.
I'm helping them prepare for their interviews and stuff like that. I was like, no, I'm going to put in that little extra effort there. But I would sometimes, the only time I had time to do schoolwork or where my mind was able to focus, where it's nice and quiet in the house, it's like between 10 and 4 o'clock in the morning. I was up till 2 o'clock in the morning this morning and stuff too. And that's just how it is. But I take naps throughout the day. Yeah. Usually my lunch hour or my lunch, when I had 30 minutes for lunch, I take like a 15-minute, 20-minute nap, restroom, snack something while I'm still working, getting back and hitting it, hitting work again. But then after work, I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a nice good 30-minute to 1 hour nap, whatever my body needs, but I'd set a timer. I'd do about 20 minutes and I'm like, yeah, I need more. And I'd hit repeat, out, and then I take my nice good nap. And it's been working for me to be able to do that. Some people are like, how do you have time for yourself? How do you sleep? I was like, I take little cat naps.
Yeah.
And there is research that says 15, 20-minute naps are really good for you. You may not realize that. You don't think that that's enough. It is. But if your body needs more, if you've really been overworking it, whether it be physically, mentally, and your body's like, no, I need more, give it more if you need it. Okay. Or make up for it in some way, shape, or form. Or prepare up front with that sleep banking.
No, that's very sound, and I'm glad you said it, because I was again closed-minded years before, and I was like, naps, I ain't lazy, right? And I love that you said about listen to your body. A friend of mine, Child, she's a friend and a mentor. She used to always tell me when I would get all these physical injuries and hernias and herniated discs and stuff, she'd be like, listen to your body, right? And I think so many of us don't do that. And we do it in the name of ambition or grind culture, but you do have to take those naps. And you know who was a habitual napper? And this is definitely not a lazy person and a very successful and strong person. Bruce Lee was a habitual cat napper. So that's what he did. And I think Winston Churchill, and there's a lot of other great leaders and influencers in human history that believe in, hey, take that little nap. Maybe it don't work for you, but maybe this could be something you share for somebody else. And just like all things, just try it, right? And to the point of what you said about, indulge yourself, I want to just say to everybody out there, addiction comes in many forms. It's not just alcohol. It's not just drugs. It could be doom scrolling, it could be Amazon shopping, it could be seeking attention, who knows what it may be, right? Here's the thing: when your stress reliever becomes a stress causer, we got to check ourselves before we wreck ourselves. Fill in the blank on whatever the activity is. You listen to your body, be aware of yourself. But when your stress reliever becomes a stress causer, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Sorry, had to quote Ice Cube on that one.
No, seriously. That's very true. In all things moderation, drinking's okay, but again, in moderation. And that's usually, when we're out there with our friends, our loved ones, those are little warning signs like, hey, are you okay? I had a friend, that was working with us, and I knew something was kind of up. I was like, hey, how are you today? Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Hey, how's everything? You sure? Okay. And it is what it is. Sometimes they didn't feel comfortable, sharing with me. I wasn't part of that inner circle or somebody that they felt, is comfortable sharing. But then we find out later that they were going through a personal storm, but they were getting help. So I was like, okay,
Right.
good to go. I mean, I don't, and that's the thing is also realizing you're not everybody's savior. That's okay.
God, I needed that. Thank you for saying that. I had a talk with a mentor of mine yesterday about that. If you're, if someone's drowning and you run out there in the ocean to go save them, now there might be two people drowning. But if you can throw a raft and stay in a safe place, she said, 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the pain. So that way you can sustain and maintain. And you can't save everybody, but I think not bragging, but it's definitely not something to brag over. It's led to my detriment in recent times. But I think, your little brother and me, we have that Superman complex. You want to, some of us, we want to, and it comes from a good place. But I mean, it's just that 101. If you don't put that oxygen mask on first, you can't help anybody else. But it's just the truth. It's truth. And there's no sense in two people drowning.
Yeah. Yeah. My brother, are like, hey, go out and let's do a family vacation. He goes, no, my vacation is at home, enjoying my home.
Yeah.
He'll do a little vacation once a year. That's it, with friends. And I'm like, not even with family? Like, come on. But he's been also updating his home, investing in himself, his safe space, which is his home. It's built to him. So, I mean, he's a bachelor, and I will tell you, it is like the best bachelor pad ever. My son goes over, he's like, this is what
Superman
I want,
cave.
right? I'm telling you, but his whole house is his. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, but it's great. He worked very hard for it, and that's his safe space.
Yes.
You can't sit there and go and judge someone. Like, great. You feel comfortable, you feel safe, you feel, you may not want to use the word safe, big Marine telling him that. But,
I feel a little secure right now.
It's his home base, right? It's his home base, right? So
comes in many
that's
forms.
The thing that's
comes in many forms. Just like you were saying that some, your dad woke up and did push-ups, but for somebody else that could be for them, they watch Netflix. And it's to what point, to what degree, obviously we said already that if your stress reliever becomes a stress causer, but that self-care, that vacation in a sense looks different for everyone. So the stereotypes are, I have to be on a Disney cruise. No, that makes Disney monies. Okay. Maybe that's your thing, but that's not the only thing. Could be a Superman cave. You never know. Try it.
Absolutely.
Try it. Oh man, this is good. I just want to tell you, I know I've overran you on this one because you got other things to do in life, but I want to tell you, thank you for your time. As I've said before when you and I have talked, that I think the effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. That's what Jim Carrey said, and I try to live to that. But I also, one of the most valuable currencies we also have is time. And it's the one currency we spend every day. We don't know how much we have left of. We don't know our remaining balance. So life gets real quick. And the fact that you're willing to sacrifice your time to help others, as you always have, that's been a through line through this entire discussion of who you are and what you're about. Thank you for being willing to share with all of us, the listeners, and to me on this show. Thank you. Seriously.
Yeah. And, for those that are like, oh, they're hesitant about reaching out for help and stuff, right? Been there, done that. But I will tell you, and this is the other thing, people feel like, oh, I finally will reach out for help, but it's going to be far worse or whatever. Am I going to be shamed? That's one that lets you know if there really should be part of that circle or somebody that you reach out to, right? And how they respond if they don't respond well. But more likely than not, they're going to respond without shaming you and just say, come here, let's get you help. Let's do this for you. Because that was one of the things that ran across my mind when I was, deciding to reach out for help. There was like no shame, no judgment. Yeah. That's all things that you think are going to happen, right? The struggles that you're having to go through. And that makes it even harder to reach out for help. I haven't run across that where they shame you for it. And if they do, they don't need to be part of your inner circle.
There it is. You now know who not to go to or who not to send somebody to, right? You won't be recommending that on Yelp. But no, seriously, for anybody, thank you for saying that, because I think a lot of us have this, well, once I go get help one time, everything's fixed. No. It's not just fixed there. And it's like barber shops or dating or restaurants. Maybe that one's not for you, that source of help, but don't rule out help altogether, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Try and try again so you can persevere, go through it, but also grow through it, not just survive, but hopefully thrive. And maybe you're still alive and went through this so you could share it with someone else, because we're vessels to help each other, one team, one fight. And I think that's so well said. Don't stop trying to seek help. If you call somebody and they don't answer, call somebody else. You call 988 and there's a hold, well, then call 911. There's usually not a hold there. But if you need help, seek it out, and people want to help you. But guess what? We're not. Miss Rozy's awesome. I try to be awesome too, but we're not mind readers. So help us help you. You know, Jerry Maguire, help me, help you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely there.
On that note, I ask every guest this in closing, and we can keep going. You know me, I'm long-winded. I'll go for 4 hours. I don't care. But I want to be respectful to your time and your currency. If someone is out there right now, Miss Rozy, and they're thinking, and we have a lot right now, I can't share the numbers, I can't disclose them, but we are off the charts right now when it comes to death by suicide and the means in which people are doing the most, I don't even want to say it, the way most people are dying right now is gunshots and hangings, right? Most attempts are made by attempting overdoses, but I think especially for our tribe, our community of military people,
because we're comfortable with guns.
That's right. But that's the one way you're probably not going to survive. So the means matters, and lethal means safety matters. I own guns. I'm a fan of guns. I think they're great. It's how you use them. We got to have the willingness to say, hey man, can you hold these for me for a little bit? Or maybe I don't need to be near this thing, because if we can stop the access to things when people are in those states, or to pay attention to each other, or to pay attention to ourselves, we can probably save a lot of lives. But I'm going on a rant and I'm digressing, but we're losing way too many people right now, Miss Rozy, and I know you're aware of that. And too many people are choosing a permanent solution, suicide, for a temporary problem, or homicide. If someone is out there thinking about making a permanent decision over obviously a temporary situation, because all of this is temporary, everyone, and they're thinking about taking their own life or hurting someone else, because murder suicide is real too, what would you say to them if you could say something on the front end?
Ooh. So I got a few things. One, I'm praying for you. I really do. I take time in my prayers to pray for all those struggles. Okay. That, being in the military community, helping so many vets, it has definitely hit very close to me a few times. But I pray for you. I absolutely pray for you. There's also a prayer. It's hard to find on the internet. You have to download an app. It's called the Exorcism app. And there's a shield and a sword on the logo when you download it off the App Store. But I highly, highly recommend it. It's prayers for spiritual warfare, and I think that definitely falls in that category. But there's a prayer in there that says, I am loved prayer. It's saying that you're a child of God and you are loved, and it just helps you reiterate all those promises that God made for you. I absolutely urge you to please download the app and pray the I am loved prayer. It is under prayers for the laity, which means you don't have to be a priest or deacon or whatever to say these prayers. Any of those prayers for the laity. They even have videos that you can follow, other prayers and stuff, but please pray the I am loved prayer. Okay. Highly, highly recommend that there. But I do pray for you guys. I think about y'all so much, I do it in honor of those that we have lost, those that I've known that I have lost. One is way too many. Yeah. Will we ever be honest about how many are really doing it? No, because nobody really wants to see it for what it really is, the ugliness that it really is, But that's all right. But we just know we don't want any more. You are very much needed in this world. Everybody struggles different. Even the struggles that I had, I tell people it's first world problems. It's first world problems. Does that mean that it's any less of a struggle? No. I've been given the tools, and the resiliency to overcome these. Can I overcome third world problems? I don't know until you get put in that situation. Should we sit there and judge each other for that? No, not at all. it is what it is. We're not sitting there and comparing battle scars and stuff like that. We see them, try not to judge each other, right? And again, if we do, let's not shame each other when we do. We react sometimes because we don't know how to properly react to something, and it's not like we don't feel guilty and stuff for it. But sitting there and shaming each other is, doesn't help either. But I will say the I am loved prayer is very much a very good prayer. I've shared that on social media and stuff, and it's a real good one. It's hard to find out there, but it's definitely in that app there.
Thank you for that. Remember, y'all, her recommendation, she's praying for you. There's an exorcism app. Shield and a sword is on the symbol, on the
icon, I think they call it, the App Store or whatever yours is to
Mm-hmm.
download.
But the I am loved prayer. And I love how you said too, everyone struggles different, and there's no use in comparison or yours is worse than mine. Like, trauma is trauma, pain is pain. And if it's I'm gonna quote Andrew Koval, a retired Marine, a police officer up in Massachusetts, but he said, if it's a big deal to you, then it's a big deal, and that's all that matters, and you need to deal with it. You got to deal with it. If we don't deal with it, it'll deal with us. But people want to help you. Like, do not be shy about reaching out for help. There's nothing wrong with it, and there's no reason. You're so right too. Gosh, I'm so glad you said this. We are so wanting to do it all by ourselves. Like, independence is great, all the whole bootstrap stuff, it sounds great, all that good stuff, but like, people want to help you, so don't be afraid to ask for help. And you can't see it right now, my friend, whoever's out there right now hurting, you think this is going to go on for, like, you can't see it right now, and you just want your pain to end. And that's majority of the reason that people take their lives, is because they want their pain to end. They don't want to be a burden, they don't want to hurt anybody else. But here, please hear me, reach out for help. You can't see it, you can't think of it right now, but this too shall pass. It will pass. It always does. And maybe you stay around and you have no idea who or what is coming down the road of life for you. So please do not choose that permanent solution. And if it's meant to be that you're not here, trust me, I think the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to phrase it as, will make sure that our butts aren't here. It's just the way it is. Sorry for that rant. I had to share that though.
Oh, no. I like that. But I may not know your name, but I pray for you. You come to mind. And that happens sometimes. I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, this one isn't for your loved ones. This is for someone else. It's like, okay, let's do this. And I'll say a prayer. So you come to somebody's mind, whether we know you by name or not, but somebody does know you by name, and they're bringing us in to help pray for you. So, you make it through. You don't realize it now, but something beautiful is going to come from it.
It's going to come.
Something beautiful.
It's going to come.
It will.
Well, Miss Rozy, I just want to tell you, thank you for your time today. Thank you for sharing what works for you, what's worked for you, what's still working for you, and what you're helping to do to work for others, the service. And then being like Aretha Franklin and say a little prayer for you.
Right?
I love it. I love
Absolutely.
it. In closing, ma'am, do you have anything that you would like to leave with the audience, or anything you'd recommend, or any shout outs to any socials, or anything that you'd want to capture?
Oh my goodness. There's so many groups out there. There's career coaching, life coaching. There's actual free trainings and courses and certifications that are out there that are being thrown at you. You would be surprised that there's somebody that understands what you're going through. They may not be right there in your town, next door in your neighborhood or whatever, but there's somebody out there, right? That's going to understand it, that went through it. Go volunteer with some of these groups, the American Legions, the VFWs, and all of them. Those vets are getting older, and us younger ones need to step in and help with that.
Amen.
The struggles you went through, they're not for nothing. You can use them as learning experiences to help others through their struggles, and it's very much needed. They did it, but they're getting older. We need to step in and start helping with that. That's our other safe place, right? Those American Legions, they're not all smoky and everything. I have trouble going into some of them because me with allergies and sinuses, which is what I got also from my military service, they're starting to clean those up where you can go in and be able to breathe safely and stuff. But again, not judging them because they went through what they went through. I can't take away their struggles from them, but you also will hear stories of other struggles and how they overcame them, or how they just thrived and hopefully not survive. And if they survive through it too, okay, they're there. Maybe you're there to help them out too. Or they're like, oh, that's still going on. Well, gee, 20 years ago, back in my day, that's what I was struggling through in the military too. And you're like, well, darn, okay, you know. So share those stories. Share those stories, as my parents are getting up in age and, they're still fairly young and everything, but talking with other vets, oh yeah, my mom or my dad went through that, and this is similar and this is going to be the next stage of this or that or whatever. As you put them, here in a home or you're thinking about getting a caregiver for them and stuff, look into this I mean, you'd be surprised the amount of knowledge that comes out just to help you through any of the other things going on in your life that you don't realize. Anything that's going to help relieve stress, what's going on, because there's so many things that we're juggling. If there's something that's going to help with one or two of those things, it may not be the biggest thing, it's going to help.
Yes.
It's still going to help. Overall, big picture, it's still going to provide some type of help for you, So you don't know what you don't know.
Amen.
And sharing that with them, and them sharing their stories with you, you never know. It may help you too.
That's right. No. Amen. Well said, everybody. And I think we don't know what we don't know. Well said. But also, remember what I said a few minutes ago, closed mouth don't get fed, closed mind don't get fed either. So open your mind, try some new things out. Maybe you heard something on here today and you have a bias towards something, but just be open-minded. Or maybe just keep it in your breast pocket, keep it in your cargo pocket so you can share it with somebody else and help them. But I love what you said, and I need to be better at this, that call to action, because our older veterans are getting older. So why can't we go in there and contribute as well? And you know what? It's Maya Angelou 101, Dr. Maya Angelou. She said, if you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. So maybe you're not a fan of the smoky rooms, or you're not a fan of just it being just the bar scene. Well, then why don't you go in there and influence it for better? Maybe that'll give you the purpose and reason to wake up the next day. Just think about it. Try it out. Why not? Try it out. Hey, Miss Rozy, thank you for real. Thank you for your time. And I hope this is not the last time you're ever on the show. If we get off here and you're like me and I'm like, you know what I should have said? You know what I should have said? Hey, let's do another episode. I'm all about it. And I just, again, thank you for taking the time to help others and to help me. I really appreciate you. And thank you for your family service and sacrifice.
Thank you. And happy to help anytime you need me to come back on any other topics or whatever. Yeah, I'm happy to. And thank you for this opportunity too.
Thank you. And I wish you all the best in pursuing that doctorate and continue to be the mom, the wife, the humble servant leader that you are in this world. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 64 of the Real Resilience Talk with the amazing Miss Rozy. Please help someone else out. Please make good choices. Please reach out for help if you need it. It's never too late. Just keep moving forward. If you don't know how to be resilient, well, let's learn. Let's not just go through things. Let's grow through things and let's help each other through it. Whatever you're going through, whatever I'm going through, whatever Miss Rose is going through, good or bad, this too shall pass. Take care of each other. And please also remember that this show is free and it is sponsored by nobody, baby. But we are inspired by the First Amendment, and I thank you those who protect it and allow us to expend it. The First Amendment. Appreciate y'all. Thank you, Miss Rozy. Won't laugh or cry. Keep smiling.